In the 1860s, the United States faced its greatest crisis. A nation divided, brother fighting brother. A war that would determine the future of freedom and unity. The American Civil War was not just a battle between armies, it was a struggle over the soul of the nation. And when the fighting finally ended, the country faced an even more difficult challenge: rebuilding itself. This is the story of the Civil War and the turbulent years of Reconstruction era that followed. By the mid-1800s, tensions between the northern and southern states had reached a breaking point. The central issue was slavery. Southern states depended heavily on enslaved labor for their agricultural economy, while many in the North increasingly opposed its expansion. When Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, several Southern states feared that slavery would be restricted. One by one, they began leaving the Union and formed a new nation known as the Confederate States of America. The stage was set for war. The Civil War officially began in April 1861 at the Battle of Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Union forces represented the northern states. Confederate forces represented the southern states. Over the next 4 years, the war became one of the deadliest conflicts in American history. Major battles, such as Battle of Gettysburg and Battle of Antietam, caused enormous casualties. Cities were destroyed, families were torn apart, and the entire nation felt the devastating cost of war. During the war, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. This historic order declared that enslaved people in Confederate territories were free. The war was no longer just about preserving the Union, it had become a fight to end slavery. Thousands of formerly enslaved men joined the Union Army, fighting bravely for their freedom and the future of the country. After years of brutal conflict, the Confederacy began to collapse. In April 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. The Civil War was finally over. But the nation had paid a terrible price. More than 600,000 soldiers had died. And the challenge of rebuilding the country had only just begun. The years after the Civil War became known as Reconstruction. The goal was to rebuild the southern states and integrate millions of newly freed African Americans into American society. Several important amendments were added to the U.S. Constitution. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery. The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution granted citizenship and equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution gave black men the right to vote. These changes were revolutionary. But Reconstruction also faced intense resistance and political conflict. Rebuilding the nation was not easy. Many southern states resisted federal policies. Violence and discrimination continued against African Americans. Although Reconstruction brought important progress such as new schools, political participation, and civil rights laws, many of these gains were later undermined by segregation and discriminatory laws. Still, the Reconstruction era laid the foundation for future civil rights movements. The Civil War was the most defining conflict in American history. It preserved the United States as one nation and ended slavery. But the struggle for equality did not end with the war. The Reconstruction era showed that rebuilding a nation requires courage, compromise, and an ongoing fight for justice. The legacy of those years continues to shape America today. And that's the story of the American Civil War and the Reconstruction era. Here on Past and Present Tales, we explore the moments, people, and events that shaped history, culture, and society. So here's a question for you. If you could live in any historical era we talked about today, which would it be? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for our next journey into the past.